ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
It is Wednesday, October 30th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program anytime by calling the Miller Lite phone lines, 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true great taste, only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. We got a lot to get into today. We're going to take more of a basketball focus later on in the program. Yesterday, exhibition action over at the Cam Henderson Center. Thundering Herd get the win over Glenville State, 100-66. And we'll hear a little bit later on from Tavion Kinsey. We'll also get the head coach's thoughts himself. Game one, well, technically game one, exhibition game number one for the Thundering Herd. Okay, crowd was there last night at the Henderson Center. I was a little surprised I didn't see a bigger crowd there, but still, Herd fans got a show. Early impressions before we really get into it. Tavion Kinsey continues to, of course, impress me. He was out there for about 28 minutes. He was 6 of 10 in that game. Had 14 points total. A guy that really looked good to me out there was Cam Brooks Harris. So what did Cam Brooks Harris do? Oh, only had 19 points out there. He was out there actually 18 minutes. So he looked pretty good as well. A guy that I didn't see much of because I didn't get there until after tip-off. I only saw 16 minutes of play, and that was Jansen Williams. I wanted to see a little bit more out of him, how he was going to adjust to this new dynamic. And, of course, the guy out there who's the workhorse, Jared West, looked good. I mean, Jared looked really good out there. He was out there 25 minutes, 4 of 7. But really, I think his leadership is what this team will get from him a lot more than maybe his offense. But he had 12 points. All in all, good game. We're going to break it down a little bit later on. A couple of things I wasn't too thrilled with was they had 25 turnovers. 30 assists, 25 turnovers. Dan addresses that a little bit later on, so we'll hear from him. And, of course, we'll hear from Tavion Kinsey as well. So, Marshall basketball, not the only team in action yesterday. The 20th ranked men's soccer team were in action, and they beat Oakland Golden Grizzly 2-1. So the Thundering Herd improving to 11-2-3. The Golden Grizzlies, I like that name, by the way, Golden Grizzlies, 7-7-2. You know, the Herd didn't have the best of weeks last week. It didn't hurt them too much. They're 20th now, so plenty of room there to improve, but still a top-ranked soccer team. Soccer program is doing well. Now, what's coming up on the program tonight? Well, as I mentioned to you, we're going to hear from Dan D'Antoni. We're going to hear from Tavion Kinsey. And in a few minutes, we're going to hear from the play-by-play voice of the Rice Owls, J.P. Heath. He's going to join us on the program. We're going to talk about the upcoming game between Marshall and Rice. So that's coming up here in the next few minutes. Later on, we'll get your phone calls in. And if we have time, I want to talk a little Bengals with you because A.J. Green basically coming out and saying today, look, long-term deal or let me go. I like it here, but I'm not down with one-year deals. Sign me to a long-term deal or let me go. We'll talk a little bit about that. Andy Dalton also a little disappointed on the timing because he found out a few hours before the trade deadline. You know what that means? Andy didn't really have an opportunity to go find another team. Wasn't that much of an opportunity for him to go out there and explore possibilities, explore options. So your starting quarterback benched. Ladies and gentlemen, this is fully a rebuild for Cincinnati Bengals football. Of course, you can catch Bengals football action, not this weekend, but when they come back off the bye, right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. We will have it till its glorious conclusion. I'm still watching it. I'm still looking at it, but this is really the first year in a long time that I'm just, I'm okay if I miss a game. Years ago, hey, I had to see every single game. Now I'm okay. I really am okay. I had opportunities to go see the Bengals live in person. I'm okay this year. I'm good. Come back to me when you guys got it all squared away and situated. That's kind of my feeling right now. I'm instead using the time I'm actually I'm doing more on my Sundays. Usually my day would begin after Bengals football, and that meant my day would end after Bengals football. Not now. It's sort of liberating. When your NFL team is bad and you just don't care for a while, I mean, you're still a fan, but you're not investing that much time, energy into it. It's liberating. Let me tell you, it's very liberating. Yeah, I might not have to worry about this much longer the way they're going right now. But hey, with that said, we do again have Bengals football all season long for you right here on your home of the Bengals, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm excited for my next guest, so we're going to go ahead and take our break early, and we're going to come back and hear from the play-by-play voice of the Rice Owls, J.P. Heath. He's going to join us next here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Guests with Paul Swann appear via the Miller Lite phone lines.
I want to welcome to the program now the voice of the Rice Owls, J.P. Heath. And J.P., it's been a while since we've had a chance to talk. Good talking to you again.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I'm assuming it was football related, but it had to have been 5 years or maybe a basketball trip in there. But yes, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's probably been football because basketball. We always get to see you guys. When the schedule allows. But it's been a while since Thundering Herd and Rice have played football, so we've got that coming up. And I know things weren't very good for the Herd the very, very last time. I'm sure some Herd fans still flashing back to that championship game, not going the way the Herd expected, but. We don't know what to expect this upcoming game because Marshall is bouncing back quite nicely after having a disappointing start.
Yeah.
Rice, on the other hand, I don't know what to make of your team. I look at the scores and I don't see really a bad loss. I mean, they're all bad, but score-wise, Rice looks like they were in almost every single game just about.
Yeah, really. The Texas game is the only one that from the get-go, it was out of hand. Other years, Rice had played Texas pretty close, but I think the UAB game was a little deceiving because it was two-possession game, but Rice just kind of could get some stuff done late, and there was a 3-hour weather delay mixed in there, so it was just a bad night altogether. But yeah, you're right. I mean, every game, even the Southern Miss game last week, not to be the mouthpiece and the excuse maker, but Southern Miss scores a late touchdown to break open a one-possession game, but it was really over then anyway. But, I mean, what your record is. I mean, I'm not going to make excuses on behalf of the program because Coach Bloomgren doesn't. He says it's a zero-sum business, and you can't sit here and say, coulda, shoulda, woulda, because he pointed out when one of his years at Stanford, they won every one-possession game that they had. So they're one of those young programs still. In his second year, they've got to learn how to win. They just haven't. They've had a lot of lessons, but they just haven't learned how to turn those close games into victories yet.
I was going to ask you, is that really the only thing holding this team back? Yeah, you look at what they look like on film and talking to players this week, they definitely have Rice front and center because they don't see a bad team on film, even though the record is what it is. They don't acknowledge this team as being an 0-8 team.
Yeah, I read some of those same comments, and very complimentary, very accurate, but still they've got to find some consistency at quarterback. Wiley Green has shown some great leadership skills. He is as tremendous a human being as they get. I mean, all right guys, like all Marshall guys, I mean, they're very good people when they have to juggle the classroom and juggle the athletic side of things. Like, how do you do that? I couldn't do one of those in college, and they're doing both of them. And here, but they haven't got a quarterback that has played consistently every game. Tom Stewart, who's a transfer from Harvard, has been efficient at times, but then he was going to start the Southern Miss game and his back locked up, and he had some spasms during walkthroughs. So everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Coach and I were joking a couple weeks back just about the football gods. Like, what did he do to anger the football gods? So I don't know if it's going to be Saturday when they finally break through. Good Lord only knows. But when they do start putting together, I think they've got the defense that they can build around. And run the ball, where I think it could be a formidable team in the future. The only question is, and I want to know as much as anybody in the coaching staff, does that come the last 4 games of this year, or does that come the beginning of next year? We'll see.
What's the mood of this team like? Some teams can't handle the losing, some take it in stride and know that they're building towards something better. Where are the Rice Owls when it comes to that?
It's tough. I mean, you can't like losing. You're not going to like it. I'd be worried if they were all happy-go-lucky. The defense, actually, we talked to one of the players, Naeem Smith, who's a safety. He's had interceptions the last 2 games, and he said, yeah, we need to start scoring on defense. Like, who says that, who actually takes ownership and says we need to score on defense? Because, it's really, really hard to do. So they're tough. I mean, they're guys that juggle a lot in everyday life, so it's not something that they're finger pointing about, but they're just really disappointing because they put so much into each week. So they've come to grips with how tough it is to get those wins, but now they just, like I said earlier, they have to put it on the field and be able to put it all together for 4 quarters, because they've started some games fast, but then not finished them. They've finished some games okay, but they didn't start well. So they've got to put it all together.
You look at some of the metrics, and even though the record doesn't indicate this, there is noticeable improvement. The defense looks better. I know, that's no small consolation for anybody. Say you're playing better, you're still 0-8, but it does feel like even though with that record there is forward progress with this Rice Owls team.
Yeah, and only one senior, a guy named Miles Adams on the defensive line. They've got Blaze Aldridge, who is, again, I'm the bias. Everybody expects me to be the homer. I promise I tell the truth when I need to, but 55, Blaze Aldridge, for anybody that watches game or listens for Aldridge's name, he is just a man. Like, he was added midseason to the Nagurski watch list, up there in the national rankings in tackles for a loss. He either leads or is second in Conference USA, just does everything. And he's a workhorse, fantastic guy. Crazy story about how he ended up at Rice. There was a terror threat at his airport. He was trying to go, he was getting recruited by Coach Bloomgren at Stanford, but that didn't work out because of the terror threat at the Orlando airport. And long story short, he ends up at Rice, and he's playing like one of those next Power 5 types of players. I got a guy, the secondary's been a little bit better. It's been tested a lot recently, but just all over there guys on the defense that have just been salty, and that's what you like from your defense. And Aldridge is one of those, but on the offensive side, the line's been good, not great, but the line's been good. But Brad Rosner, a wide receiver, and also on the offensive side, Austin Trammell. He's a leader. He's a co-captain. Aston Walters expected to be back. He's had 3 straight 100-yard rushing games. He missed the Southern Miss game. So, yeah, you're exactly right. There have been some metrics, some incremental improvements, but, again, they have to put it all together and string that for 60 minutes in a game where it matters, and you have one more point than the other guy.
Joining us on the program, Rice Owls play-by-play announcer J.P. Heath, and you look at Marshall. Marshall's winning. And that's the good thing for Marshall. They're winning. They're finding ways to win, but they're doing it in dramatic fashion, like a 53-yard field goal to end the game. So Marshall hasn't just walked away with the East Division yet. Rice has been in some really close games. What are the Owls talking about, looking at as far as what they might need to do to maybe take advantage of the fact that Marshall's had some slow starts? Defense is where they've been making their noise these last few weeks. The defense has really helped set up the offense in some situations.
Yeah, I think it's starting fast. They've got to start fast, and you mentioned that the Marshall struggles, but the Owls have to find – and they've gotten good. They finished a lot of drives, but they've got to get those first couple, put them in the box, as they say, and they've got to start fast. I'm really interested to see what Green can do against the secondary, because Rice saw Abraham last week for Southern Miss, really good quarterback, and he didn't get the huge plays, but I really the couple parts of games I've seen, I really like him at quarterback. But Coach really respects Knox too, and the things like he loves power runners, and he loves the way he plays, and he talked about Gaines being a flashy do-it-all guy too. So I think it still comes back. They have to have that fast start. I really think we'll know the first half. Again, newsflash here. If it's a close game, that I don't think any team runs away with it in the second half. Rice's style is to really grind it out and they have to get the running game going too. Rice's side. I'm interested to see if they can run against a salty Marshall defense as of late. The way they've been able to get to the passer, and then who's that passer going to be for Rice that can try to take advantage. So there are a few other hidden variables, but those are a few of the things that I'm going to watch for.
This game is also always fascinating for some Herd fans because Marshall has some success against Rice, but when the Herd travels to Texas, there's always that concern. Okay, can they win today? Because Texas hasn't been kind to Marshall as a state when it comes to the Herd traveling.
Yeah, I was digging for that note from Jason and the guys, and I saw that hosting Texas teams, there was a better one. But, yeah, I don't know what that could be. And I remember that from the last time when we played them. But we're friendly in Texas. I don't know what it is. Maybe we get too much Tex-Mex and barbecue in them. I don't know what that could be. But it's just sometimes you get those funky stats that don't. Maybe it is the travel. But, I mean, UTEP's there, UTSA, North Texas. There are a lot of Texas teams, and it could speak to the quality play. But that's I might throw that partly out to just kind of a weird coincidence. But if you have better stats, it's a longer stat. I don't know. That's kind of a weird factoid there.
Yeah, I'm just I'm digging into that stuff. And that stuff really doesn't play into this one because it's been so long since these two teams have really seen each other. And that's the difficulty of this league is you see the East Division or West Division teams, depending on what side you play, and you see them all the time, but you don't see the other side very often. And so it's kind of hard, I'm sure, for the Rice fan base to get excited because here comes Marshall on game day, and Rice fans probably haven't seen Marshall in years other than basketball.
Yeah, and, I mean, these Rice fans remember that game against Marshall the last time they were here, and Rice was toting the trophy, and that was very favorable. We're getting back into the baseball side of things. Marshall has been off Rice's schedule in baseball forever and a day. Basketball, more. Really, that's the most frequency Rice fans have seen Marshall. But it's not a West Virginia centric thing. It's the same for FIU. It's the same for your fans with the Florida schools. Your fans with UTEP. I mean, that's kind of the good thing about Conference USA is there's so many schools, but the downside might be you don't have those natural rivalries. I mean, you guys in Western Kentucky maybe, but us in North Texas, us in UTSA, so us in Southern Miss in baseball. So it's just that's just kind of how it goes right now. And until they change the schedule, I'm just going where they tell me to go.
Yeah, Western Kentucky has really become a good rival for Marshall. Quick funny story. One of our radio stations is a Kentucky News Network affiliate, and I had to make a phone call today to the manager of the network. He's a Western Kentucky guy. He recognizes my phone number only because it's the only West Virginia number on his contact list. And first thing he says is, "You're calling me to give me grief about that field goal, aren't you?" That's how the rivalry is.
So, hey, at least it could have been worse news, like the dog passed away or so. I don't know. At least it's just something in a football game, right?
Yeah, I told him no, that wasn't the reason. But hey, since you mention it, so I did have to bring it up. But that's a good point you bring up. Also, baseball. That's what we know Rice for. That's Rice's bread and butter. And finally, Marshall's going to actually have a stadium worthy of hosting a team like Rice here in the next few years. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of excitement. Marshall baseball finally being able to compete with Rice, at least from a facility standpoint, and hopefully on the field as well for both teams.
Yeah, I saw the drawings, the renderings, and I can't wait. I guess from what I'm remembering, I don't know if they'll be ready by 2021, the next time we'd be coming back there. But we host Marshall in baseball this year, so I guess if it's ready by 2021, we'd see that. But it's great. I mean, you'll love it. It just having the facilities brings in it opens up the doors to so many different avenues. And Rice found that so successful in baseball at the turn of the century when Coach Graham got the program really going, those Omaha trips in the late 90s, and just getting the facility was a launching pad really to winning the national championship. Coach just said, I don't know if we would have won the national title if we didn't get Reckling Park built the way it was. So, yeah, it makes all the difference. That's the story all across college athletics. You've got to have the facilities to compete with the other schools.
JP Heath is our guest, the voice of the Rice Owls, and I do believe the stadium will be open just in time for Rice to come in. I'm hoping anyway. That's their goal. They had the ceremonial groundbreaking. They're gonna start working on that, and the following season have it open. So looking forward to that. Rice, other than football, really, they're one of the programs that has a lot of success. I mean, basketball, there's been some success as well. It's not just a football-centric conference for Rice, thankfully, because there is a lot of things about Rice that you can point to and say, hey, we're great in baseball. Basketball has had some success, and Herd fans, of course, remember playing Rice in basketball, and there have been some ups and downs there as well.
Yeah, really close game. Until the recent years, you guys really had a good blowout win in the tournament last year, but that's the way. I mean, that's the thing. Like we said earlier, you've got to play these teams more and more, and you've got to have meaningful games that can have something on the line. So I don't know how you do that outside of just having a whole one big conference and no divisions to play everybody, but that's just the way it is. With the East and the West, they have it now. You don't see the team as much outside of baseball, which doesn't have division.
Joining us on the program, he's the voice of the Rice Owls, JP Heath, and of course you'll play host to our contingency showing up, including our very own Bill Cornwell. You mentioned earlier the Texas barbecue and everything. Trust me, those guys are going to hit you up for all of that.
Okay. Hey, I've got a list. I'm a big old guy. I can help them out.
Bill will love you for that. He will.
Give him my number. I'll give him many options.
Good, excellent. Unfortunately, I won't be there to take advantage of the Texas barbecue, but I'm hoping somebody will sneak some back on the plane for me.
It's the best, man. You've got to come. You got to come sometime.
I will put that in the budget the next time. The next time Marshall plays Rice, I'll have to put that in the budget. Joining us on the program, he is the voice of the Rice Owls, JP Heath. JP, good talking to you. Let's do this again more often. Definitely we'll see you around basketball time for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, let's do that. I appreciate it.
He's the voice of the Rice Owls, JP Heath. We appreciate him coming on the program. We're going to take our next break, come back. We have got reaction from last night's victory in basketball for the Thundering Herd, including Dan D'Antoni. We'll get his thoughts when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank.
Last night it was basketball action exhibition for the Thundering Herd as they got the victory. Beat Glenville State 100-66, and the entire roster got on the court. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we progress, but it was good to see some of those guys out there again. Cam Brooks-Harris, I liked his game last night. Of course, Tavion Kinsey, very impressed with him. Michael Byers, he had 12 rebounds. 1 offensive, 12 defenses. 13 rebounds total. Good game for him. I think they can work a little bit more there. The Herd total had 57 rebounds. Glenville State had 45. Of course, Marshall also a big number to circle. 30 assists, 25 turnovers. Had a few blocks in there as well. 13 steals. Exhibition game all in all. Thundering Herd scored a lot in the paint, 66 points in the paint. Marshall also got 21 points off turnovers, 19 second-chance points, 36 fast break points. And the bench, as we talked about, the entire roster was on the score sheet, 56 points off the bench. So Thundering Herd got a glimpse of what the team could look like in Game 1, and Dan D'Antoni talked to us after the game. And here's his initial impression of everything in his opening statement.
Obviously, we're going to hire an inbound coach, somebody to teach them how to get the ball inbounds. But you went 4 years with, basically just get John the ball. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we'll figure it out. We got the tools to get that done. And, But once we got it out a little bit and spread them a little bit, then things opened up a lot better. First half, I substituted platoon-wise, and that's difficult for teams to get a rhythm. So they stay right with us. Second half, I just got one at a time or two at a time, and get the lead a little bit, get them beat down a little bit, then you can put the other guys in. So, okay, we got a lot of work to do, obviously. Still not shooting the ball like we can from threes. We've got to be a better shooting team. I think we are. We just got to do a better job of getting those shots and then getting them down when we shoot them. So, not bad, first time. Last year was a lot closer. Last year they put us right to the end. And they play, you don't practice the way they play because it's a scramble. Everything's a scramble. It's just kind of reads. And when you got a young team, I saw some things that reminded me of the first year that Chris Duhon and I would start almost laughing. Couldn't believe they did that. But it'll get better as the year goes through.
All right, that's Dan D'Antoni's opening statement last night as he was addressing the media, and he fielded a lot of questions, some specific player questions, including what he thought of Goran Miladinović's performance.
He's a very talented player. He's going to have to learn not to bring it down and get the rebound, then give it back to him by bringing it down to him. But that's a pretty easy fix, He'll get embarrassed 2 or 3 times, and he'll decide not to do it anymore. But I thought he's got a nice touch inside, and he's got good rhythm, and you can get him out. He's got good hands, and then he flows right into his shot, and it's going to be fun watching him get better, and he will get better.
Another question, and it came up early. What was it like out there, not having John and CJ on the court?
Well, we looked out there. I looked out there one time. We had 4 freshmen and a sophomore, and even the experienced guys are in roles they haven't played. So even Jared is now the point guy. He was off guy. Tavion was a 4. Now he's kind of moving back to a solid 2, maybe a 3. And then everybody else, Jansen, I think pressed himself a little bit, and he'll get better. And George just got tired. I took him out, but I thought he played decent. So the rest of them are all learning, and it's fun to watch them. I enjoy it. I hope fans enjoy it, and especially enjoy it when we win. But it'll be a fun year. It'll watch them develop and get better. Again, very, very young. One senior, and the rest of them are extremely young.
And the rest of them got to touch the ball a lot last night. And that was one of the questions Dan answered. Was that the goal? Is that the philosophy? These kids, if they play with the right tempo, they're going to find out that everybody's going to touch the ball.
Well, that's the way we want to play. It's the ball finds the shot, not so much the player. And we'll have to, though. There are times in a ball game where it'll get down toward the end of a shot clock. We're going to have to figure out who we can go that can get a shot and make it. And that'll probably be the hardest work, trying to figure that out. I thought we got, you talk about that last little crowd, but little Luke came in there and he just settles things down. He just was smart, let things come to him. I thought we forced and pushed things instead of just letting it come to us. We're trying to beat it down instead of just let it happen. But I think that'll be easy to fix, I think. And we'll keep practicing and get better. Again, it'll be a little bit of a journey early, but I'm looking into we're long. Defensively, we can be very good. Thought the zone looked decent when we played it. Got to rebound better, and there's a couple guys that got to rebound better. But I think Gordon can rebound, and Michael got a ton of them tonight. But we got to get Jansen and Aaron, George rebounded. We'll see what happens.
Now, there was one sequence in the game last night. Marco Saranac goes up, dunks, and then he does what you shouldn't do up there on the rim. He gets a technical. These kids are learning. Question was asked of Dan. Did you have a little smile on your face? He's going up there. He's excited. He gets the dunk, and here's Dan's response to that.
He didn't even know what he did. He didn't think that's a technical. said, Marco, you can't do push-ups on the damn thing or pull-ups. But, it's going to be like that. So I hope everybody will just enjoy it, knowing that they're trying. And the experience will take care of a lot of things that coaching won't. You can talk all you want, you can coach it all you want. If you don't get into the action, into the arena, that's where you learn the most and the quickest. So they're going to grow. They're going to have moments. I'm going to look out there and go, what the heck did I just see? And then there are going to be moments where you go, wow, we can be good. So it's just taking the what did I just see out of the game and putting in the wow, then we'll be fine. I'm going to look forward to this. I think this team can be every bit as good as we've been or better. So see what happens.
Dan D'Antoni addressing the media last night, and before we hit the break, there was one question about the assist and the turnover ratio. Thundering Herd got 30 assists, also committed 25 turnovers. And one of the questions asked of Dan, hey, that kind of reminds you of an NBA game. And it was it was in jest, but still, 30 assists, 25 turnovers. Is that really what the NBA looks like these days? Dan doesn't hope that's the case, or at least he feels sorry for the coach who has that.
Well, the 25 turnovers, I hope that's not an NBA game. You won't have your job very long if that's the case, although it's early for them, and that's you're probably talking about Houston. And Mike's got worried about his three-point shooting. It sucks. And, they're going to have to figure that out, and they will. They will. They'll get back to who they are, and we'll get who we are. And that's a little bit calmer. Don't try to push the action, force the action. Kind of let it come to you a little bit, make easy play. But, each one of them now are trying to be the main guy. And what they're going to have to understand is, that if you press to be the main guy, probably you're going to end up like the guy who got jilted by his date and going home by himself. So, it's just a matter of them letting the game come and just relaxing and playing the game. Don't come in with any agendas for yourself. Just come in and play the game as it unfolds, and whoever's going to be the top cop will be the top cop, But you try to force yourself into being a top cop, probably going to get fired, kicked off the force, or sitting on the bench next to me.
I don't know what's worse, getting fired or having Dan in your ear telling you what you did wrong. That's a tough one right there. That's Dan D'Antoni from last night's game. When we come back, we'll get player reaction to the victory. We'll hear from Tavion Kinsey when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Never miss a moment of The Drive with Paul Swann. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Marshall the victor last night over Glenville State, 100-66. We got player reaction. A lot of new faces on the squad, including, almost everybody. I don't know where to start as far as how many new faces we saw out there, or at least faces for the first time on the court. The good news is this is an exhibition game. Saw some sloppy play out there. Also saw a lot of good things, especially defensive pressure. They turned that up in the second half. But one of the first questions Tavion Kinsey answered yesterday was just how this team has really come together and meshed. How it feel last night?
I thought it was beautiful towards the end of the game. At the beginning, I know we had some nerves in us, and I thought, after our halftime talk, we just needed to calm down a little bit. Guys, first newcomers came in there and was a little riled up, but I feel like the second half we came out there and we did pretty great, meshing as a team. So
he was happy. He enjoyed the second half especially, and that second half they really did turn up the defensive pressure. It looked like they were pretty much even for a while, and then it just felt like they kicked it up another notch. And Tavion talked about that, turning up that defensive energy.
We knew they had one player who was really, putting it to us early. He was low-key getting whatever he wanted. But we, everybody in the locker room was like, let me get him. And then we doubled down. We played defense. We seen they was speeding us up, so it was like, why not, get them some pressure. And we was giving them pressure at the beginning, but we were too, lackadaisical with it. I felt like second half it was like, okay, it's time to show who's really better. This is our home court. We're going to go out there, turn up the intensity. So.
And with that intensity and that aggressive play, question that was asked to Tavion, and Michael Byers will follow up after Tavion in the soundbite, is that how Coach wants you to play? Just go out there, don't worry, play with intensity, don't worry about mistakes. And here's Tavion's reply.
It's always been like that. It's always been intensity, practice, intense. Everybody needs to be high intensity. You win by going hard. It's not, at the end of the day, you can have all the talent in the world. If you don't go out there and go hard, play intense, then it's really not going to matter at the end of the day. So
to piggyback off that, like during practice, like balls go out of bounds and we're playing all the way through. We go into the stands, chasing after balls and stuff like that. Like doing stuff like that in practice really does translate into the games.
Now, one of the new faces on the court for a lot of Herd fans was Cam Brooks-Harris. You look at his stat line last night. 7 of 13. He was 3 of 9 from the three-point line. He hit both his free throws. Nothing rebound-wise. He did play 19 minutes, only amassed 2 fouls. Also, he had 3 assists, 4 turnovers. So that'll get fixed. He was out there for 18 minutes. So he's out there 18 minutes, and he's able to put 19 points on the board. He's a guy that I'm excited to see. We're probably going to see a lot more of him, and he's been practicing a lot. This is the first time he's been able to actually get out there, play in a game, and the question was asked of Cam Brooks-Harris, are you more comfortable out there playing in a game than in practice? All right, I apologize. That soundbite is not working, and let's see if we get the soundbite 41 working. This is Tavion Kinsey on playing with Cam Brooks-Harris.
It's fun. That's my guy. Like, from day one, he was a big reason why I came here, really. Like, he committed here first. Then, of course, I met Coach Dan. But Cam was really pressing me like, hey, I had a lot of other things going on, and he was like, come play with me. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. We've been playing AAU since, like, we were real young. So going out there and having him be able to play this year, I know, like, if it's anybody who can low-key calm him down when he's, in his head, I could talk to him because it's a personal level between us. Like, we've been knowing each other outside of basketball. So to have him out there, it's like a brother to me. So it's real fun, real exciting.
All right, that is Tavion Kinsey talking about playing with Cam Brooks-Harris. I like the chemistry out there yesterday. Again, got to see a lot of faces. You got to see everyone play. A lot of guys went out there and made the most of their time. And I think you're going to see more of that. Again, we're talking exhibition here, however. Thundering Herd outscore them 45-35 in that first half, and then really assert themselves in the second half, outscoring Glenville State 55-31. I'll tell you another player, Luke Thomas. His limited time out there, I really liked his play. And I think you're going to see a real struggle to get into that starting lineup. I mean, I don't think this is locked. I don't think your starting lineup last night was Tavion Kinsey, Jansen Williams, Jared West, Darius George, Michael Byers. That seems like it's locked, right? But then you got to make time for Bennett. Bennett get 13 minutes out there. You got to make time for Cam Brooks-Harris. He's going to have to get some time out there if things continue. I like Goran's play out there. And, of course, you're going to have to find time for a guy like Luke Thomas. And that's going to do it for this edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll get back into football. We've got player interviews to get to tomorrow. We will take your phone calls as well. As Thursday edition coming up. That's right. We've got World Series baseball action coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. So looking forward to that coming up. And don't forget, tomorrow we've got a full day for you. We've got the Doc Holliday Show. We've got Inside Herd Athletics with Marshall University Athletic Director Mike Hamrick. And if you've got a portable radio and you can't go down to Fat Patty's because you'll be a safe trick-or-treat tomorrow at the Big Sandy Superstore Arena, take your radio with you. Let the kids trick-or-treat. You listen to me. You listen to all the Herd talk coming up tomorrow right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.